Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the results video for Community Challenge number 2. So, a couple of weeks ago now, I challenged you guys to raise a colony to the Imperial Age in the fastest possible time. Results are in. And remember, there's a lot at stake here, because the winner of the challenge will receive a brand new copy of Age of Empires 3 from me. So, without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 with an impressive time of 9 minutes and 42 seconds, we have Aede playing as the Ottoman on the map Carolina. It should be noted that this was actually the fastest time set using a vanilla civilization on a vanilla map. Right now, here we see Aede sending a settler out towards the ocean, which can be found on this map. Of course, his intention is to build some docks so that he can begin fishing as soon as possible. And here he's building a trading post as well, so investing a lot of wood really early on in this game. And that is the first thing he did. Tasked all of his settlers to wood and then onto the trees, and has ignored the food entirely, since of course his settlers are training for free. But notice here how he's using 2 settlers to help the explorer build the trading post, just getting it up in the nick of time so that the trade traverse man actually had a trading post to deliver the experience points to. That is going to boost the speed at which he gets his first shipment very, very quickly. Right now we see Aede's first dock placement, and judging by this food still left on the floor, it appears that Aede is only interested in gathering wood, which I'm sure he's going to invest in docks and fishing ships, and he does have 100 coin from the crates. I'm sure he'll get the fishing ship upgrade with, but strangely enough we saw a settler which appears to be scouting the map, heading into the blackness, and I'm sure a lot of you will guess what that settler is for, considering that we are in treaty mode, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. But right now, we see his explorer shooting a treasure guardian, crack-shotting it to kill it, and then running away from them so that they will start to run back when he gets far away enough from the treasure, and then can get some free shots in as they are running back, and of course can get this treasure, which seems to be guarded by quite a few treasure guardians. It's worth 165 wood, and I'm sure that'll be pretty useful for, of course, training fishing ships and building docks. Right now we see Aede's first home city shipment is well on the way thanks to that early trading post he managed to grab himself. The extra XP coming in from it is just worth so much this early on, since shipments really do impact the game quite a lot. For example, the one he's sending right now will decrease the cost of fishing ships from 100 wood to just 40 wood. They'll cost 60% less, and of course with a saving like that, you are going to wait for that shipment to arrive before you train any fishing boats. So those 2 docks are idle, though he is making use of the idle time by researching the gill nets upgrade, which has just arrived. That increases the rate at which boats can collect, but now that schooners is about to arrive, I'm sure he will queue up some boats just as that arrives. Yes, there we go, and he's about to get 165 wood from that really big beefy treasure he was creeping as well. Here, though, we see Aede's settler from earlier, which appeared to be scouting the map. He'll see what this is all about in just a moment, but I'd like to draw your attention again to the fact that this is actually treaty mode, and neither player can attack each other until the timer in the top right expires, and this is something in my rules video which I did not explicitly say was or was not allowed, so for that reason it is totally fine with me, especially since a lot of players were making use of this treaty function simply to just ensure that they weren't attacked whilst aging up, but some people got quite creative with it, as you have clearly seen. Anyway, Aede now has all 3 docks up and running and the gill nets tech done, and his second Discovery Age shipment is 300 wood, which is normally a horribly inefficient shipment compared to the 700 wood which you could have had in the Colonial Age if you just aged up on time, but for the purpose of this challenge, you can consider it a staggering 7.5 fishing boat shipments. And here we see Aede stealing the cows, which his opponent has aged up with #cowhacks, #azank. Aede clicks up to the Colonial Age at 2 minutes and 44 seconds, and that's not even bad by real game standards. He also adds in a market here so he can get those important dirt cheap Discovery Age upgrades as well. Aede's third shipment has just become available, and we can see that he has chosen the fish market to increase the speed at which his boats collect resources by a staggering 25%. He's also just about to grab himself a settler treasure, which is basically 100 food for every 2 minutes the game passes, which kind of adds up. It also appears that that settler is headed straight for his opponent's base to help the other settler kill off the cows. Aede hits up to the colonial age at 4 minutes and 15 seconds, leaving him just 5 minutes and 30 seconds remaining to reach the imperial age in the time that he does. And at this moment in time, he has exactly 12 settlers and approximately 18 fishing ships. Yeah, tight build order, to say the least. His 4th shipment is rendering plant, as you can see here, and he's already putting that wood he received upon aging up to good use on things like researching the colonial age fishing upgrade, which combines with the fish market shipment and the gill nets upgrade he got earlier for a total of plus 100% to fishing ship efficiency. That's essentially like having all of your existing fishing ships just clone themselves. It looks like the expert CPU bot has kindly shipped 600 food to help Aede out with clicking up to the Fortress Age. And it looks like he was expecting this, by the way. Here's a trading post. He's adding in his 2nd trading post now anyway. It looks like Aede was expecting that the food would arrive at his enemy's town centre, as he's probably going to have the exact resources he needs to click up to the Fortress Age just as his 2 settlers finish stealing his enemy's food crates. So some really, really creative stuff from this player. Here I am zooming in on this player's town centre to let you know that he has clicked up to the Fortress Age at the 5 minutes and 18 second mark using the exiled Prince Politician, who is the politician who will take you to the Fortress Age really, really quickly, though you can only use him for the Fortress Age. He's also sending 700 coin as his 5th home city shipment, and that coin is really only going to be used for the sake of clicking up to the next age. Aede clicks up to the Industrial Age at a staggering time of 6 minutes and 31 seconds through the Tycoon Politician, who will grant him 1,000 coin upon aging up, which will be used solely for the purpose of clicking up to the Imperial Age, along with these crates here from his newfound food-supplying ally, Henry the Navigator. He also has one last shipment approaching, which will be 1,000 coin for that final push to the last age, but that truly now is it. There is nothing more Aede can do except watch his economy race against the clock to that 4,000 food and coin goal. Cue the epic music. Aede coming in at a time of 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Absolutely incredible. But remember, Aede came 5th. Let's move on to the player who came into 4th place. So actually, what we're looking at here is not the 4th place time set by KnightBR. We are currently watching the player who came in 3rd with a very similar build order and a very similar time to what KnightBR managed to achieve. There is literally only a 2-second difference between the 2 times that these players managed to set, and the build orders being used are literally the same. Just down to every card, and there are only a very few number of very small variations between the 2 builds. So I'd like to apologise to KnightBR because I won't be featuring his gameplay in this video, because with regards to entertainment value, if I did, then, well, we'd be watching basically the same clips for 4th and 3rd place. So I hope he understands, and I'd also like to remind everyone that all of the time set for this challenge will be available for download as a recorded game. Just check the description of this video for more information on that. Alright, basically so far we've seen Azamk laid out an early trading post with his explorer for the same reasons that Aede did in his game, and he's also transformed his discovery travois, which the Iroquois start with, into a farm, which is normally a completely useless building since settlers actually gather food faster from animals, and normally players will turn their starting travois into a house since population is just way more important than a building that gathers food more slowly. However, the Iroquois mill equivalent doubles up as a livestock pen, so as you have clearly seen, this player was very focused on scouting the main plateau with his settlers, treasure guardians, just everything, and this is because the plateau is where all of the livestock on this map are found, and he can task those livestock to the pen to get them to fatten up. Of course, it is important to find the livestock quickly before the CPU bot does, since those cows just have so much food potential, and you really don't want to lose any of them, but at the same time, that's not the only reason he was scouting with his settlers, because, well, it's horribly inefficient to scout with settlers since they're not gathering, but as you can see, he wanted them stationed in his enemy's base anyway, obviously to steal the resource crates whenever he can, so he might as well take a few detours around the around the plateau, just curving around to find those animals. And as you can see here, he is stealing 300 food that has arrived at his enemy's base already at the 2-minute mark. Azamk's first shipment has already arrived and was 3 settlers, and as in any game, settlers are important, but even more so in this challenge, since you spend so much time aging up, your town centre really doesn't have a lot of time to be making very many settlers at all, and I think that is why Ottoman has been so popular as a civ choice for this challenge, since of course those settlers for Ottoman will train even whilst you're aging. Right now, though, Azamk has just grabbed himself an 85 wood treasure. He's been making excellent use of that nature friendship ability and has converted a rhino onto his team to help collect treasures with and kill those lions off. And not only is a rhino an extremely strong unit for his team, but it was also guarding a 320 XP treasure and is no longer doing so, meaning that as and when the nature friendship ability recharges, Azamk can work away at that massive treasure and eventually grab it. And as we know, XP is very influential in this challenge since shipments impact the game so much. Here he is now starting to creep away at that massive XP treasure. Excellent stuff. Anyway, his second shipment is Stockyards, which has just arrived, and he's also just finished researching selective breeding at the farm as well. And both of those upgrades increase the rate at which livestock fatten when tasked to a farm or livestock pen. And those cows are clearly going to be very influential in providing the food he needs to race up through the ages, since of course settlers gather so much more quickly from livestock than they do any other food source. Azamk just about to begin researching the colonial age upgrade at 3 minutes and 24 seconds. He's going up with the wise woman politician who grants you 2 food crates, a wood crate, and a coin crate upon aging up. And of course those resources, every resource you can get a hold of is just going to help you out get through the ages that much quicker. Now, this is actually pretty close. Azamk's explorer is about to die. It's running out of hit points pretty quick, and if it had died, that could have resulted in restarting the game for this player, since of course that would have set him back a fair bit. Fortunately though, that is not the case. It doesn't die. He does manage to grab himself this massive XP treasure, and as you can see, he starts to research, or more to the point, send his 3rd home city shipment once that XP is in his inventory. He sends the Fulling Mills shipment, which increases the rate at which settlers gather resources from livestock by 300%, meaning his gatherers will literally shred these poor animals to pieces at a rate of 8 food per second. That is how quickly you can gather from livestock once you have this home city shipment active, and that's almost like gathering from crates, sort of. Not quite as quick, but you see what I'm saying. Alright, now, Azamk is sending the ranching shipment, which allows you to train cows from your farms. They cost 80 food each, and clearly Azamk intends to invest in livestock. There is just no way you're going to be able to collect that last 4,000 food for the Imperial Age upgrade with, what, the 16 settlers he has now. Yeah, good luck. Those cows are absolutely crucial to this fast Imperial Age build, and I always find it staggering how many resources these players are able to generate from these tiny little economies that they have. But Azamk, 16 settlers, and almost has all of the resources he needs just to click up to the Fortress Age, and honestly, he's only just hit up to the Colonial Age. He's really not that far off, considering he can devour these 2 cows here to make up the food difference and allow him to swiftly queue the next age. And yes, those cows weren't fully fattened, but it was probably worth eating them so that he could, of course, click up to the next stage swiftly. And, you know, plenty of food coming in from his opponent as well, making use, of course, of those shipments that his opponent's sending. Some really quite intuitive ideas and creative stuff that, you know, I really didn't anticipate people doing this when I set the challenge. But there we have it, folks. Right now, Azamk has just finished training several more cows which have been tasked to his brand new farm. Of course, each time you age up with Iroquois, you get a new Travois which you can transform into a building of your choice for free. So clearly he chose another farm so that there was more space to fatten the livestock. Anyway, going for this 360 XP treasure here, absolutely huge, the biggest until last, definitely, and that is because, of course, delinquent thugs are super hard to kill. Now adding in a market so that, of course, you can get those dirt cheap Discovery Age upgrades. Now shipping 600 coin, since of course Iroquois don't have access to a 700 coin shipment in Age 2. This coin will be used for aging up. Yeah, just clicked up to the Fortress Age and is already preparing the coin for the Industrial Age. And honestly, he probably has all of the food he needs as well, considering the amount of nearly fully fattened yaks he has on those farms. By the way, I never mentioned his Fortress Age politician choice. He's going up with the Shaman, who grants 3 Travois upon aging up to the Fortress Age, which he can then transform into even more buildings. Absolutely ridiculous. Is about to hit up to the Fortress Age, has only 16 settlers, yet has all of the resources he needs yet again for back-to-back age-ups. I knew Azamk was notorious and well known for cow hacks, but this is some next level BS Sainsbury's OJ build order. Absolutely insane. Here we see Azamk placing all 3 of those Travoises he received upon aging up down into plantations of all things, and the reason he's doing this is not because he needs a place to gather coin. No, although it certainly does look like he needs a place to gather coin. He has a lot of cows, like a lot of cows, but not very much coin, and the Imperial Age costs a lot of coin. He's going to have to find that coin from somewhere. Anyway, he actually wants these plantations for the XP, so he can squeeze out one last home city shipment from, of course, that home city. Plantations cost the most resources out of any building that the Iroquois can build, and for that reason, give more XP accordingly. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with the Industrial Age in queue, so begins the race to the 4,000 food and coin goal. There really isn't much more Azamk can do at this point other than squeeze shipments out of his home city, and apparently his opponent's home city as well. He's now harvesting the 4 cows that he left earlier. He's left them to fatten up at his opponent's livestock pen. Yeah. Anyway, he's just received the 1,200 resource shipment, and he has his last shipment in queue right now. He has an OP 16 settler economy, a bunch of cows, and what looks like is this last shipment, which is the fur trade. It transforms all of your food into an even greater amount of coin. So that's where the coin's going to come from. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cue the epic music. An absolutely incredible time there from Azank, rolling into the Imperial Age in a casual 9 minutes and 24 seconds. And I think it's worth noting that this was actually the fastest time set on Deccan, and then that means that the next two times were not set on Deccan. Deccan was not the only map being used. So, shall we move on to our second place time? The first thing Umeu does is place a farm using his starting discovery travois, so that the llamas you sometimes start with on this map, Araucania, can begin fattening up. This means he will actually have to build a house the old-fashioned way, but considering the worthwhileness of the livestock we just saw last game, that's probably okay. Umeu is also sending his war chief straight to the nearest trading post, as you can see here. He wants to get that up as soon as possible in order to catch that first batch of sweet, sweet XP from the Travois man. And here we see Umeu killing a black bear with two of his settlers. It's guarding 40 food, and yes, the treasure is going to help him click up to the next stage a bit faster, but he's wasting a lot of gather time, considering these settlers could be collecting food and his war chief could be fighting the bears instead. But in reality, his explorer probably has better things to be doing. For example, building this trading post so that he can get that first batch of experience points just in time from the Travois man. Nicely done there. And then he can head out and search for llamas, which is pretty important. They have a lot of food potential. And he has even bigger treasures to get. There are just bigger treasures out there. For example, this 60 food treasure, which he's going to convert the Guardian for. Basically, his explorer isn't going to be coming back for a while, and it would still take these two settlers more time to actually collect 40 food than it would to kill a bear and grab it from a treasure. Umeu's first shipment is 3 settlers for similar reasons to the last game. He's going to be aging a lot, so his town centre won't have a lot of free time to actually make settlers, and he's really going to need all of the gatherers and all of the resources he can get a hold of to reach the Imperial Age quickly. Right now though, for Umeu, it's all about finding those llamas as quickly as he can so that he can get them to start fattening up at his farm as soon as possible. He's also very interested in using his explorer's nature friendship ability as much as he possibly can and rescuing the odd military unit, as you can see here from a tree. Basically, he wants as many dudes as he can get because Araucania homes a lot of treasures, which he's definitely interested in getting. Umeu has managed to find himself an impressive total of 18 llamas, which adds up to 5,400 food in total if all of them were to fully fatten and then be eaten. That's a pretty nice amount of free livestock. There's also a huge amount of big treasures on this map, and there's a fairly big trading route as well, let's be honest. I think we can see the reasoning behind his map choice, and indeed his second shipment which he's now sending. The advanced trading post shipment is on the way, and it gives all of his trading sites more hit points and a ranged attack, but more importantly, will reduce their cost by 40%, meaning that they will cost him only 120 wood each. Umeu is now advancing to the Colonial Age though. He clicked up at the 2 minute and 7 second mark and is advancing with the Wise Woman, who will grant him 2 food crates, a wood crate and a coin crate upon hitting the Colonial Age. He's also switched all of his settlers to wood, as you might have seen, and by the time his shipment arrives and he's in the next stage, he should have enough wood to build a whole bunch of trading sites and to get the stagecoach upgrade. In fact, he already has the foundation for a second trading site already laid down, which he'll no doubt head out to go and build once he's finished with this treasure. 220 coin this treasure is worth, guarded by several blowgunners. Every little helps, I suppose, except 220 coin is no little amount. Yes, there we go. He's now sending his explorer out to build his second trading post, whilst his small rabble of converted dudes fight some black bears which guard 2 sheep. Here we see a whole bunch of llamas tasked to that farm getting fattened up, and another whole bunch of llamas waiting for him to hit up to the Colonial Age and turn that Colonial Travois into a second farm so that they too can begin to get fattened up. Here we go, starting the process of the fattening now. Anyway, Umeu has just finished building the second trading post and is now sending his explorer back to this 2 sheep treasure where his rabble was fighting at earlier, and indeed these 2 sheep will also enjoy this newly created farm. I expect the next thing on his war chief's agenda is to build the 3rd trading site that he's laid down. You can see it on the minimap, he's heading towards it now, and then he'll probably head out to that treasure which his rabble is currently fighting at to pick that one up too. It's worth 90 coin. Umeu's 3rd shipment is 600 coin, which is about to arrive, and that combined with all the coin he's managed to steal from bandits and wild animals is almost enough to click up to the Fortress Age, who said stealing doesn't pay. Umeu's 3rd trading post is about to go up, but can he get it up before the Travois man passes? I'm joking, of course he can, it's Umeu. His 4th shipment, though, is now on the way. He's sending stockyards, which increases the rate at which animals fatten by 30%. And just like in Azamp's build last game, this livestock is fundamental to having the food ready to actually click up to the Imperial Age. Speaking of clicking up, though, he is now on his way to the Fortress Age with the politician who grants you 3 Travois upon hitting up. He did that at approximately the 4-minute 50 mark, leaving him just less than 4 minutes now to reach the Imperial Age in the time that he does. We're now researching the stagecoach upgrade, and you might be thinking, surely there's not enough time to make this worthwhile. Well, there is. This bad boy pays for itself extremely quickly, and little do a lot of people know it almost pays for itself instantly if you have a few trading posts up, because as soon as the upgrade is complete, every trading post on the map will receive a batch of XP for free. Just watch next time you finish the upgrade. Anyway, all things aside, the upgrade takes exactly 1 minute to research, but the resources it will bring in will be very, very worthwhile indeed. Right now, though, we see Umeu going for the treasure from legendary El Dorado worth 520 coin. That's absolutely huge, and I think seeing this will settle a lot of questions about how Umeu actually managed to set the time that he did, because, well, when I set the challenge, Umeu was trolling the forums about how he had managed to set a sub 9-minute time, or so everyone thought. Apparently he wasn't trolling. I think the fact that this treasure spawns on Araucania shows you how you're able to shave several seconds off your Imperial time, because 520 coin is worth 866 villager seconds. Remember though, we still have our first place winner's time still to come, and I just want to point out that he has switched all of his trading posts to gather coin now that he has that upgrade, the stagecoach upgrade. Anyway, Umeu is about to get some coin from his trading posts due to the current positioning of the Travois man, and that combined with his existing coin and the legendary treasure of El Dorado will pretty much give him all of the resources he needs to click up to the Industrial Age for pretty much back-to-back age-ups. The Fulling Mill shipment has just arrived though, and that is his 5th home city shipment, and it will increase the rate at which his settlers can collect food from livestock by 300%. It's clearly time to gather up those llamas ready for the Imperial Age. He's now placing those 3 Travois he received upon aging up down into plantations solely for XP. He wants to squeeze just 1 more shipment out of his home city, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the food is coming in thick and fast from those llamas and the trading posts which have been switched to food for that fur trade shipment, which is now on the way. As we know, fur trade transforms all of your food into an even greater amount of coin. It is very efficient. That final 1,200 resource shipment now in queue, and that means there really isn't anything else Umeu can do other than watch his economy race against the clock to that 4,000 food and coin goal. Cue the epic music. Very well done to Umeu for that immaculately executed sub-9 minute build order to the Imperial Age. A lot of people thought he was going to win this challenge once they realised he wasn't trolling. Turns out, though, he wasn't quite fast enough. Let's move on to our winner, shall we? The first thing Aklak does is lay down a farm with his discovery travois. He then uses his war chief to kill a small monkey guarding a Mongol scout, and then sends 2 settlers over to his opponent's base. With this settler here, he goes over to collect 2 cows, which he can see are there, and tasks them to his farm. He sends the settler back to the coin mine to begin collecting more coin for the selective breeding upgrade, which he wants ASAP. Right here we see him using the nature friendship ability to convert a masterless samurai, which is in itself a very strong unit, which he can use to help collect other treasures with. And at the same time, it removes that particular guardian from the very large treasure. It's worth 300 experience points. As you can see here, he's found quite a few cows with that Mongol scout, and his settlers have almost arrived in his opponent's base. Over here he uses the war chief and the masterless samurai to kill a lion, which is guarding a 50 wood treasure. Meanwhile, in his opponent's base, the expert Russian bot has left 2 wood crates out of his starting resources on the floor. Aklak's going to collect these up, bringing him to a fairly high wood total, all things considered. Currently though, he's found 10 yaks, and bear in mind that is the maximum amount of yaks which can be tasked to a single farm, and he's now collecting a 30 coin treasure with his settler all the way over in his opponent's base, bringing him up to the 150 coin and wood total required to research the selective breeding upgrade, which he is now doing. He's now only a couple of units of wood off the amount needed to construct another farm, which is exactly what he's going to do. There's clearly more than 10 yaks available on this map, so a second farm and the selective breeding upgrade this early on will be really useful for fattening these yaks up quickly. Over here we see Aklak's war chief and the samurai he converted earlier about to start creeping an 80 XP treasure guarded by 3 leopards. His first shipment has just become available, and he's now sending the fulling mills, which will increase the rate at which his settlers can gather food from livestock by 300%. Notice how he hasn't built a trading post like a lot of the other players did in their games. Aklak clearly prefers to invest wood into fattening livestock rather than generating XP, but he will need some additional XP from somewhere in order to get all of the shipments he'll need to set his time. And that's where the 80 XP treasure he's creeping now, and that massive 300 XP treasure where he got the samurai from, will come into play. Aklak hasn't even sent a 3-settler shipment. He has one last villager in queue before he reaches his population limit, and by the looks of things, intends to do this challenge with just 10 gatherers. We're now looking at the 300 XP treasure again, and clearly his war chief's nature friendship ability has recharged, and he's grabbed himself another masterless samurai to help him gather treasures with. This leaves 2 cavalry archers guarding the 300 XP treasure, and he has also just clicked up to the colonial age through the shaman, who will grant him 2 travois upon hitting up to the next age. Meanwhile, back in his opponent's base again, we see his 2 settlers stationed outside the town centre awaiting the Russian bot's next shipment to arrive. The war chief and his rabble of dudes are headed towards the 90 wood treasure, guarded by 2 lions. Aklak's second shipment is now on the way. It is ranching, and it will enable him to train cows at his farms. Clearly, he intends to invest food into training more livestock to then fatten at his 2 existing farms. At first I found it strange that Fulling Mills was his first home city shipment, but after looking back at the recorded game, it's worth noting that as soon as it arrives, he collects up 2 of his yaks to help quickly get the food available to get the colonial age in queue more quickly. In total, he found 18 yaks, but ate 2 of them in the discovery age. This brings him down to 16, and once all of them are fully fattened, will yield a maximum food potential of 6,400 food. Anyway, the 2 settlers in his opponent's base have finished stealing wood from their Russian enemy and are now returning home to help the rest of his settlers, which are now all apparently collecting up these yaks, which have definitely not fully fattened. Here we see the war chief joining his rabble of dudes as they work away at the 300 XP treasure. Those yaks, though, I guess they've fattened enough to be worthwhile. I mean, he found them all for free, right? He still actually generated a very large sum of food from them, which he has just sold at the market he built earlier for the sum of 1,000 coin. That's pretty clever. That's all the coin he's going to need to put the Fortress Age in queue. Well, he didn't sell all of the food. In fact, he still has a fairly large amount of yak meat to collect up. He just sold enough to pay for the Fortress Age. It's interesting because one of the first things we learn as Age of Empires players is that the market is really inefficient. But in this game, it's actually the opposite. It's actually really efficient because his settlers are able to gather food at a rate of 8 food per second from the livestock, but only 0.6 coin per second from a coin mine. Either way, he's also been reinvesting a lot of the food as well into training cows, as you may have noticed. These new cows, though, he is not collecting up at the moment because they need to fatten up a bit more before it's actually profitable to do so. This is some pretty interesting stuff here. Yes, he could have left the yaks to fully fatten, but by collecting them up prematurely, he's actually able to minimize his town center's idle time, since he then had the resources to queue up the Fortress Age. Aklak's third home city shipment has just arrived. It was the 600 coin shipment, and honestly, he needs every drop of coin he can get, don't we all, to click up through the ages. I mean, he has food in abundance, but just no fast way to gather coin. Anyway, Aklak has also built a trading post, but not one on the trade route as you might expect, but instead on a Sufi mosque. He intends to ally himself with the Sufi in order to research the pilgrimage upgrade which they have, which grants you 1 fully fattened goat for each 2 minutes of the game which has passed, and a fully fattened goat has 300 food in it, which he can gather up at 8 food per second with all of the upgrades he's stacked. The upgrade itself costs 150 coin and wood to send. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Anyway, here we see the war chief and his rabble slaughtering 3 tigers for 150 precious units of coin. But despite that treasure and the shipment earlier, it's still not quite enough coin for the age up. He needs 450 more, and it looks like he's going to have to sell yet even more cow meat at that market. And that is what he does, ladies and gentlemen, queuing the Industrial Age literally as he hits up to the Fortress Age. I don't think that there is anything else left for me to say. You guys know the rest. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. I give you Aklak, the winner of Community Challenge number 2, reaching the Imperial Age in just 8 minutes and 20 seconds, setting what I believe is a world record, and earning himself a brand new copy of the game, courtesy of me. Anyway, I admit that this video should have been out a couple of weeks ago, but it still took me a huge amount of time to put together, so if you enjoyed it, I would very much appreciate you pressing the like button to show that you did, and depending on the feedback from this video, we'll look into doing another community challenge soon sometime. So if you have any suggestions for the goal of a future challenge, then write it in the comments below, and the ones that get the most thumbs up or the ones that are most frequently suggested we'll look into doing next time. But aside from that, thank you very much for watching. My name has been Interjection, and I will see you next time.